Yes. Yes, yes. And no, you're okay, Nikki.
Like
The whole
my,
world's falling
my
apart.
laptop was a little bit far away from me, and then everything started tipping. So we're just gonna leave it there.
Hello, hello,
Anyway,
hello, hello, and welcome back. This is Common Courtesy TV, a Tampa Bay area podcast on LGBTQ plus culture and society. I'm your host and moderator, actor Sean Nicholas, former drag performer, aka Desire Some More, sobriety advocate, and social change activist. With me, I have my awesome co host, original co host, entrepreneur, Nikki Prue.
hello.
Welcome back,
Nice to
Nikki.
see everyone. Thank you.
And nice to see you too. And joining us this evening, because our topic we are talking about, hello, Tampa Bay Gay. He's like, woohoo, evening, everyone. So, our topic this evening, we are talking to Found Family Collective, is a Tampa Bay organization, LGBT organization, providing support and community for our community. That's a lot of community words. Anywho, we have Seth Moore and Angel joining us today to talk about their self-defense classes that they've helped create with along with another company, Weapons Brand. Now, if, I don't know if you've been living under a rock, there's been a lot of legislation. Anti-trans legislation, anti-drag legislation is promoting a lot of violence amongst the people in our country. And even before this, I always thought that self defense in our community was very, very important. So I'm very excited to have you guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, we're excited.
Okay, so before we talk about your self-defense class, because I know you guys you just had one on March 18th, and you're having three more this year. Before we about your self-defense class and get to know more about you guys, because you guys were here last year in our last season, we're going to take a little small commercial break, get a little word on what's going on in the Tampa Bay community from Tampa Bay Gay with David Borman. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, spring is here. This is Dave with Tampa Bay Gay. Check out some of this week's LGBTQ plus events. Pride Bowling at Dunedin Lanes is Thursday, April 6th, starting at 10 p.m. $10 cover gets you unlimited bowling and shoes, and a midnight drag show with Jocelyn Summers, Darcel Stevens, special guest Jade Embers, and the birthday girl Esme Russell. As you know, our transgender and drag community needs our help. Here are a few events and ways you can support. Tuesday the 4th at 8 p.m. is the Drag to Tally fundraiser at Enigma, hosted by Daphne Ferraro and Brianna Summers. Then April 15th is the Drag to Tally Rally, a community celebration at 1 p.m. in Tampa. You can also show your support through t-shirt sales available through your local representative. Purchase now and reserve a seat for the Drag Queen March in Tallahassee, or send someone on your behalf. Did you know that Metro offices offer free HIV and STI testing? You can also find them on the road at many events. Make an appointment today and know your status. Then save the date. Sunday, April 30th is the St. Pete Pride Pageant, open to all contestants regardless of gender. Registration is open through April 15th. Also, general admission and VIP tickets are on sale now. Thanks for watching. Please check out the newest sponsors in our LGBTQ plus directory and keep supporting small business. Visit TampaBayGay.com for the latest local events, digital content, and more. Also, please like, share, and subscribe.
Okay. That was Dave Borman with Tampa Bay Gay, with letting us know what's going on this week. And you know what? I love him because without his every weekly, video newsletter, I would not know about Pride Bowling, is Esme Russell's birthday, and also the event that's going on at Enigma. But we are here today back with Common Courtesy TV talking to Found Family Collective about their self-defense classes. But first, I want to get to know a little bit more about our guests, as if we didn't know because they were here last time. But I want to start with Seth. Seth, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am from St. Pete. I went to Melrose Elementary, graduated St. Pete High, And my foray into activism and organizing was actually in high school, and it was through queer activism and organizing. And for that part of my life, from like teenage years to late 20s, it was mostly that, and then also racial justice stuff and community dialogue and youth development. And approaching shortly before the 2016 election, like I was already experiencing burnout. And then when I saw the climate coming, since I had been doing like cross-cultural dialogue for so long, like I knew what Trump's Trump's campaigning was bringing up, and I told people it's got to get worse before it gets better, and a bitch is tired, and stop calling me for protests and anything like organizing related. And I stayed involved a little bit through the local Dream Defender squad in like 2016, maybe 2017. And then I was like, no, I am truly tired and I need to tend to my spirit. And after almost like 20 years, started going to a house of worship again, even though like I didn't necessarily consider myself of that faith. And then only in the last year or so, I was like, I'm ready to start doing some stuff outside of my faith community a bit, but I mostly care about my people, whether that's like culturally or queer folks. And I was like, if it's not aimed around people that I care about, don't call me. If it's not artistic or spiritual, don't call me. And then Angel hit me up, who I had met through activism stuff before, and hit me up to do stuff concerning the queer community. And after some back and forth with a group of 5 to 6 other people, this is what we came up with, was Found Family Collective. And it started off with a Thanksgiving Found Family Feast event for people that either don't feel at home with their family or don't feel like they can be themselves or don't have somewhere to go for Thanksgiving. Started with that. We had a sober New Year's Eve event, and then we now have this series of self-defense trainings. And so we've registered as a nonprofit with the state and are working on the federal level stuff. And now this is where I'm at, is artistic stuff and community building stuff in general, and then specifically within the queer and trans community to build us up.
Absolutely. And so you've been doing activism since high school, you said?
Yeah, so I'm 36 now, so that would be a little bit more than half my life. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And there's a lot more I can learn from you, because I got into actual activism a couple of years ago during the Black Lives Matter, because I decided I can't just sit on my ass anymore. So let me go to Angel. Angel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Angel, born and raised in Tampa, Florida, went to Hillsborough High School. When I'm not on Grindr, I'm doing a lot of community work. I co-founded, I think I started my activism back at what is now called Metro Inclusive Health, back then Metro Community Wellness, doing work around HIV and, sexual health and things like that. And then eventually I got into the criminal justice lane. So I co-founded an organization with Sadie Dean called Restorative Justice Coalition back in 2017, in the height of the whole Trumpism and all that. And we started working around, looking at police brutality and how it harms Black communities, Indigenous communities, gay, trans, queer communities, and certainly those living at those intersections. Like Seth mentioned, last year we connected. We had met at a 2017 Racism 101 workshop where Seth actually was facilitating a piece there that actually still to this day sticks with me, the information that I learned. And then we started connecting over different memes. Seth really has a strong meme game. So I was constantly liking and laughing at the memes and getting to know, her as an individual, something that myself included, we tend to fail to do as organizers and activists, is actually learn about human beings, and it gets really transactional. So Found Family Collective is here to build community in different ways, self-defense classes being one. We're looking at possible events coming up in May that focus on art and creativity, and not necessarily have us ignore the political climate we're in, because we can't ignore it, but help us heal and regenerate. Because when we're healed and regenerated, then we can actually go out there and fight the fight. We can't do it if we're always angry all the time.
Absolutely. And so I love how social media connected you guys through something as not I don't want to say irrelevant, but something that's almost as kiddish as like memes are, because a lot of those memes are from our past. You know, we use like Degrassi and Looney Tunes. I love how social media is connecting. I was just talking about Facebook and how I'm still able to see where all my high school friends ended up. Like, if that really hot girl, did she marry that rich man? No, she didn't. She didn't. So anyway, so let me go kick it off to Nikki. Nikki has well, first I want to read a comment, but we're going to go to Nikki for some questions. We have a comment from our sponsor, Dave Borman. He says, Found Family Collective is such a wonderful group. Thank you for having them on Common Courtesy TV. Well, thank them for coming. Absolutely.
Love you, David.
So let's go to Nikki. Nikki, you have a question.
Well, first, I just love the whole idea behind everything that you're doing, because, and especially kind of when we spoke earlier backstage, Seth, and you had said you were kind of taking a break from the political stuff and, you know, to heal. And I just, not just for like the healing aspect, but I think it's so important to remember, especially now in this day and age, that like when politics is just constantly, you know, there's always something that you have to fight for or fight over, or just listen to people who don't know what they're talking about, just spewing madness. So I just think it's great that you've created this beautiful, safe space community that, well, yes, you have to focus on that stuff sometimes, but like just having like the joy and love of it, like I just think it's phenomenal. And it's so much more than just, you know, just a group. You know, you can just see that you guys are making such a difference, and I just think it's wonderful. And I'm very happy to have met you both and learned about all of this.
Thank you.
I don't really have, you've pretty much answered all of my questions that I did have. However, the Sober New Year's Eve event that you did, I just think I just keep thinking about it, and I find it to be such an amazing, like such a simple thing, but such a phenomenal idea. Because I mean, even just myself, I think I could have benefited from like knowing there was a place where like many people were hanging out that weren't all getting wasted and getting, you know, not that I'm not sober, I don't have a problem with it, but getting to know people under those circumstances can be, you know, I just feel like you can find more real connections and have more real conversations and learn things about people when you're not inebriated. And I just wish
like
there were
three
more.
sheets to pass the wind.
Yeah, you know, and that's the social norm. Like you go out, that's how you meet people. Like, and that's why it's like just in general hard to even make friends as an adult, because like if you're, you know, get a job and you can't just like go out every weekend night, it makes it hard. But like, I just think that's such a great idea. Will you guys do more things like that? Like, I know it was New Year's Eve, so that was, you know, obviously something kind of special, but like any kind of like, I mean, sober prom. I just love the idea of a prom. So like, that's why I had to throw that in there.
Was
But,
prom
you know,
not sober for you?
Is that prom was very sober for me. I was like, I did nothing in high school.
Same. But back to your question, are there any more of those events coming up?
Like, well, are you thinking of doing more things like that in the future? Or like, you know, do you have anything in mind? Or you think it was, you know, just kind of like a holiday once in a while kind of thing?
No, it wasn't a once-off thing. So we're still super small. Like we're growing this, like even the administrative costs of becoming an official organization are coming out of mostly Angel and I's pockets. Like that's how small we are until we develop like a fundraising campaign and have money coming in regularly. And so we're still building out both our events and programming. Like we know that we're having the series of self-defense. We have a couple things coming up in May. But we don't want to just be a fly-by-night organization. So we want to take a little bit of time to build up some cohesive programming, and so that we can seek grants and stuff that will allow us to do more series of things. And that New Year's Eve event was Angel's baby, but from the get-go, we had spoken and both agreed on, as well as other co-founding members, that we need to have mixed events and not just have sober events as a novelty, because I drink. I don't drink often anymore, but there was a time when I used to drink a lot. I get my healthcare at the VA, and if you go to the VA, your primary care doctor asks you how many drinks you've had a week. There was a time when I kept track so I could answer honestly, and I was having like 32 to 40 drinks, sometimes more a week, and that was going out over 3 or 4 nights. So that was a lot of drinks a night. So don't think that I'm coming from a place of prudishness when I'm saying that I support sober events.
No, I think it's that because I'm the same. I had my own period of time where I did the same thing.
Right. But
so I'm like, I just think it's a great idea to promote it. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought that was such a unique and fun idea for New Year's Eve, especially.
And especially for our community, because while we heavily believe in restorative justice for harm done to people, we would rather not have to use those practices and keep people from harming each other. And when you're 3 sheets to the wind, hitting on somebody else that's drunker than Cooter Brown, it's a recipe for a consent disaster. And we don't want that on our conscience. And we don't want people to end up doing stuff at our events that ends up on their conscience that they have to work back from, because even if they can make it right, there's still that shame that you deal with from doing something wrong to someone. And as gay and trans people, like, there is enough shame heaped upon us that we don't want to create the environment for more. So there will definitely be more events as we flesh out our calendar for the year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I have to say is that, that really resonates too, because I live with a lot of shame for some of the conduct that I had. And, the gay bars of Ybor, I was telling Sean before, I've been kicked out of every gay bar in Ybor because of just being too intoxicated. And luckily, I never, as far as I know at least, I'm always waiting for that knock on that door where someone tells me I did something absolutely horrible. But for the most part, it seems like I was just super annoying, and, I've been able to work that out. But like Seth said, not all of our events will necessarily be explicitly sober, because we don't want to leave out people who, do casually drink, and people can drink healthily, but we probably, even the events where alcohol is involved, will have them in a sense that will ask you to maintain certain limitations, and probably not, I don't really see Found Family Collective having events where people get smashed and that's a norm. And again, that's not coming from a place of judgment, because if anyone's watching this that's known me longer than, the last 5 years, knows that I have no room to judge anyone at all in that category. But to Nikki's point,
right there,
prior to our New Queer's Eve event, there was never a queer and trans explicit space that I could go that was sober on a big holiday like New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I just think it's great that you took that and made a space for other people who were dealing with the same thing.
And not only like created a space and an event, but put relevance to it, because it's funny that we're talking about self-defense in the LGBTQ plus community, because a lot of our safe spaces do sell alcohol. And if you ever watch the news or, read the papers, every night you'll read about a shooting that may have happened, while everyone was getting turned up. Like, it always, sometimes alcohol can bring out the worst of us. But getting to self-defense, which I am really happy to talk about, I see that alcohol can play a role in that, because not everyone's an attacker, but alcohol does kind of like get you to a point of, it gets you past a point where you would stop yourself normally and say, like, moristically, right? Moristically and society and socially, this is not acceptable. But when you get to that point, you become angry. And I'm glad Angel mentioned something about the shame. You guys both mentioned it, actually. The shame that you feel. Because I was just thinking the other day, I was in the middle of something. And I remember back when I was younger that I would feel such shame, like, oh, look what I'm doing. I'm doing something that could send me to hell. But anyways, let's get back to your self-defense events and that you're working on with Weapons Brand. I wanted to ask you, you kind of spoke a little bit about this, but what inspired you to create this? And I'm gonna start with Angel this time.
Sure. So I think a lot of it comes from our lived experience. So Seth and I are both gays in our 30s, and we've had an interesting experience through the culture of queerness being somewhat accepted, then not at all, then somewhat, then not at all, and now it's going back to the not at all. So we already know how to live this way, but we want to make sure that everyone in our community knows that even when things were at their worst, the community still got together. We're still going to go out. We're still going to have a good time. We're still going to party. We're still going to do all the things we do and love on each other. But at the same time, we have to be very real about the fact I myself, a visibly gay man, you know, limp wrist, all that, wearing pink, whatever the case, swishing my step, I'm going to draw attention. I've had the drive-by faggot before, people yelling that out of car windows at me. I've been afraid to hold a boyfriend's hand in public or at a movie theater. I've had people stare and gawk, but I've also had people run up on me, attack me, and even still, even inside the community. Unfortunately, like you said, at bars, it can become a place where people want to fight, or even during a hookup going wrong could result in you needing to have self-defense. And unfortunately, I do have a story about that, you know, that I can share later. But it's like,
Right.
I was able to use some very basic self-defense skills at that time without official training. I can only imagine what kind of skills I'll have after 4 classes from Weapon Brand. But the other factor is it's also a data-informed decision. So I look at hate crime statistics annually because I'm very passionate about that. And I know that hate crimes are only what's reported, what police have chosen to codify as a hate crime, and what they've chosen to even, if someone even felt comfortable reporting it. I've been stalked before. Police were no help, completely useless. If I had the ability to defend myself, and I'm not blaming myself, but maybe I could have mitigated it earlier. The hate crimes have been going up for a number of years. We only make up, the best estimate is 10% of the population is what the LGBT community is, yet we make up 17% or more of all the hate crimes. So we're a very small community, and that's largely towards very visibly trans people, gay men, bi men, people perceived as this way. And then crimes against women in general are already bad. So if you're a lesbian or a trans woman, you have to add on top of that. So that was the inspiration behind, hey, we got to defend ourselves. We got to kick some ass again.
And let me push it to Set. Set, what inspired you yourself to create this program?
I mean, everything that Angel just said was stuff that we were discussing before Weapon Brand reached out to us. But for me, I'm one of those people that, like, if you told me that, Set, you can either not talk and you could never gas people up again, I would tell you kill me now, because I'm one of those people that gasses up my friends, and I want, and even people that I don't necessarily care about, but I want other people to be as happy as I am at any particular moment. And when I'm miserable, I don't want other people to be as miserable as I am. I want them to be happy. I want them to be healthy. And I personally, in my childhood, I grew up in a boxing gym. My father was a referee and athletic commissioner and referee, both professional and amateur, in 3 different states. Not the same in every state, but 3 different states: the state of Nevada, the state of Florida, and the state of Washington. So I grew up going to a lot of boxing and learning how to basically defend myself. And I'm not saying that, like, there's never someone bigger, better, badder. There's always someone bigger, better, badder than you. But if you're going to take me down, you're going to have to work for it. Like, and that's, my weight fluctuates between here and like 80 pounds less. And no matter what size I am, you're still going to have to work for it, even though I'm 5'3". And when I look at when I look at the rest of our community, like, and I'm very aware of my safety in public, because I mean, I look like a whole dyke, right? Like I look like a couple of dykes, but 2.5. But the feeling of knowing that, like, of knowing techniques, like looking at other people and being able to size them up and being like, maybe I should avoid them because they look like they're jigging on something right now and they're erratic. And the feeling of, if I need to defend myself, I know I can at least fight long enough to get away, even if I can't beat the person, is a feeling that I want for everyone. I have had to defend myself in an intimate partner situation, and I've been involved in other things, and being able to handle myself without having to rely on someone else. And I'm not saying don't rely on someone else. Definitely, I want people to rely on their friends, which is why I want people to bring their friends to our classes. But knowing that I can, at a base level, handle myself, and then when things arise in public with my friends, that I can take care of my friends, that feeling, I cannot put a price on that feeling. I cannot buy that feeling. That's a feeling that only comes from experience and knowing what you know and knowing how to apply it. And I want that for everyone in our community, especially with this climate right now.
Absolutely.
The gun group Pink Pistols, back in the day, I remember they would say an armed queer is a queer that doesn't get gay bashed. And we're not arming folks with weapons, but we are arming them with the knowledge and the skills to become their own weapon. That's actually Weapon Brand's motto. And I want them to be that weapon so they aren't the queers that get queer bashed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking on this, subject and the reason why you guys created this, I wanted to ask you guys another question. We got about 10 minutes. Have you guys and this is for you too, Nikki, have you ever had to defend yourself in a real life situation as an adult? And the first person I'm going to ask, well, let me ask Nikki. We haven't heard from her in a while. Let me ask Nikki. Nikki, have you ever had to defend yourself? Well, like, I know it's a short episode, but
no. So the only time I really was ever in that position was also a domestic situation. An ex back in Massachusetts got it. Well, I mean, it happened a few times, but I mean, it's pretty violent. And I mean, obviously, I'm okay, got away, yada, yada. But it would have been really nice in that moment to do more than just, kick and yell and scream like a banshee, because, it worked in the end. But I would still I've just never, much to my detriment, I've never taken a self-defense course. So I don't really have those skills other than just acting like a complete insane person and making whoever it is not want to take me.
Okay. So let me go to Angel. I went to Angel last time. Let me go to Seth this time, the first time. Have you ever had to defend yourself in a real life situation as an adult?
Yes, I have. I've had to do it in a domestic setting and in public and semi-public, like at a party of a friend's party. I've more often had to defend someone else. And I'm 5'3", I'm a chick. And so usually when something happens, I look to see if any of the tall dudes are going to do anything. And in these situations, like one was at a gas station, one was at a party. These two I'm thinking of. The men in public just walked on by. The men in the room at the party were frozen as this guy was coming after his girlfriend. And I was like, well, I guess I got to do something. And I was able to step in the case of one of those guys and literally grab him around his collar and push him out the room and say, not today. Because he had already barreled through a bathroom door and broken it going after his girlfriend. And in the case of the other guy, was not physical. And this is, I think, speaks to the importance of this series of classes, is because you're going to learn a wide array of skills. That guy, they were having a screaming match, and you could see it was going to escalate to possibly get physical, because she had taken the keys to his van and he had apparently just gotten out of jail and he needed to not mess up and he needed to be somewhere. And I was able to talk him down and de-escalate and speak to his situation as figure out what he cared about really quickly, instead of trying to tell him, hey, guy, don't scream on this woman because she's a girl, right? And both of those times it did not escalate beyond what it was. And yeah, so I definitely have had to, and I definitely think those are skills one should have.
You seem like you have a very calming presence. I could see you being really good at de-escalating situations in general.
I'm a caretaker, but I'm just a caretaker that's willing to throw hands. But I'm
the somebody best kind, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person that ever since I was younger, and with people older than me, not even people not in my family, I'm just somebody that people have been very comfortable directing aggression toward. And so I've had to learn to assert myself, but more importantly, for other people. I'm also an oldest child. I'm a big sister, and I take that very seriously. And I'm a caretaker, right now, doing that for my mom as she recovers from a stroke. And I get most ferocious when it's somebody else. And so I actually had to learn to start applying that to myself, advocating for my mom and for being an immigrant, and having people try to talk past her when I was little because she had a stronger accent, and realizing you're not going to treat my mom like she's stupid when my dad's not around, and realizing the differences in how people were treated according to their station in life or their perceived station has, I think, sort of made me this way. Life has made me this way, and my reaction to it. And I genuinely want that feeling of capableness for everybody, but most importantly, gay and trans people.
Yes.
Absolutely. And let me go to you, Angel. Angel, have
Yeah.
you had to ever defend yourself as an adult?
I have, and I just want to throw this out real quick that our next class is May 20th, and it's free for anyone in the transgender, lesbian, gay, and queer community. So May 20th, find us on Facebook and Instagram. But yes, I've had to defend myself out in public, and I've had to do it, unfortunately, during we'll call it intimate experience. If you all remember the days of G-Bar, I definitely wound up beyond my faculties at G-Bar, and I was by myself, and I went home with someone. And this is not to sound like I'm victim blaming in any case. Situations happen, but I didn't take the precautions that I should have. And basically, the situation went from it went to scary rather quickly, and I had to use physical force to remove that person from me once I came to and was like not unconscious anymore and realized what they were doing. And because I was able to do that and quickly get away, but also because I have strategy, as silly as this might sound, but I have strategy when it comes to hookups. For example, I leave my wallet in my pant pocket at all times in case I have to put them on quickly and get out. So I used those skills, and I was able to run out. I didn't have my shirt on, but I ran out, and I'm just running down Ybor. He lived in Ybor. I'm running down Ybor, still drunk, no shirt, and thinking to myself, like, I just was assaulted. Should I call the police? And then remembering, especially at that time, I mean, this was when G-Bar was still around, so it was a while ago. At that time, thinking to myself, they're not going to take me seriously. They don't take women seriously. They're certainly not going to take me seriously in this situation. And they didn't help me when I was stalked when I was 20. So I wound up kind of dealing with that alone. But ultimately, I lived and I survived. And I did not have the self-defense training that Weapon Brand is providing today. But I think, that training, even if we are a little intoxicated, the skills will rise to the training, as Seth says often. So obviously there's no foolproof plan. We're not saying you're going to take our classes and that you're never going to get hurt and that something bad can't happen to you and that gay bashing won't happen. But what we are saying is it's going to make it less likely and you'll have more skills to protect yourself. But also, I personally, I don't know about you all, but I don't want all gay spaces turning into police states where we need a whole bunch of cops at every event, especially since they're trying to outlaw drag and trying to have a bathroom bill against our trans brothers and sisters. I really don't want a whole bunch of police there proactively. So I think if we all learn, like, what if the bartenders at the clubs all took these classes? What if all the drag queens took the classes? What if, drag entertainers? I don't want to exclude our kings and our non-binary entertainers, but what if all the patrons, half the patrons in the club took the classes? Then I guarantee you're going to come into this bar, think you're going to pick on some little faggot or some queer or whatever, and that's going to be the last time you're going to do that.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad you mentioned that because last time I spoke to Weapons Brand, they said the same exact thing. And it's not just everybody that works at the club. It's the entire community, including, we heard Nikki, she's never taken any self-defense classes. And that's probably much as every other woman. I think I'm a black belt in karate, so I know how to beat some ass. As to the question, Nikki, we were talking about that earlier situation. Speaking to the question, have I ever had to defend myself? Really? Not the time at first, Nikki, but being a gay man, but not only that, being a black gay man, I'll have to say this. I've had to defend myself multiple times, not like every fucking day, like it's a war, but I've had to defend myself in times where, like, I'm an adult. I'm thinking all of this whole bullying thing and fighting is going to end, but it never did. Like, people call you a faggot or they'll call you a nigger, outright. So I have been in some self-defense situations, and one of them was when I was, oh my God. One of them was once I was leaving. I wasn't working at this bar, but I was working there, but I wasn't working at the time. I was sitting with the bartender, and we were leaving for the end of the night. And I love what the newscaster said about the classes. The class isn't just about self-defense, it's about situational awareness, to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. I wasn't aware of what's going on and what happened next. So I was smoking a cigarette. I was looking for a cigarette in my bag. I look down and I look up, and all of a sudden there was 3 white dudes there. Long story short, they asked me for a cigarette, and then it got into a little bit of an argument because I realized they weren't there to ask me about the bar or for cigarettes. They were there to hurt me. So here's a good tip, because it was three of them. I started to scream fire. I didn't learn that in karate class. I learned that from my mother, that if anything's happening to you, you need some help. Don't scream fucking help because everybody's going to lock the door. Scream fire because everyone's going to open it and see whose house is on fire and how close it is. So I started screaming fire, and as they started attacking me, and then all of a sudden, like at this moment, like they were attacking me, they're all on me, they're beating my ass, and all of a sudden it stopped. And I look up, and my friend's boyfriend, I had a friend that lived down the street from the bar, Blake, had pulled them off of me, and he told them to run away, and they did. I thank God that I had karate training because I did defend myself a little bit. I was like, ha! But that shit you see in movie theaters where you see Charlie's Angels fucking up three guys at once, that doesn't really happen like that. That's all choreographed, because you can kind of tell because some of the guys are, right? They're kind of waiting to get hit. Doesn't happen like that. But if it wasn't for Blake and my thinking, because not all the time are you going to get the last word, but you'll be able to survive. Screaming fire was probably what made him run down the road. But anywho, that was opening and kind of deep. I always hope for everyone's safety, but we do live in the real world, and the real world does have a lot of atrocities. There's a lot of horrors, and there's a lot of hatred in this world, as we're seeing now with all these anti-trans laws. And recently I heard about someone trying to firebomb a church for holding a drag queen story hour. I commend you two and your organization for creating self-defense, and actually it's free too, because we're talking about mental health and how expensive it is. I commend you guys for creating this because we need it. Even if we weren't going through this, everybody needs to be able to defend themselves and to know what to do when there is an emergency situation. But we are all out of time today for the episode. I want to thank our guests, Seth and Angel from Found Family Collective. I want to thank my lovely co-host Nikki. I want to send love to Angelique, who I am sure she's on her way to Enigma in downtown St. Pete, which is where I'm headed to go to support, like we saw in the commercial from Dave's Tampa Bay Gay, Drag to Tally. Now, if you want to support that as well, either go to one of their rallies. There's one on the 15th in Tampa. Look up Angelique Young on Facebook. She has more information. Tonight, like I said, there is a big fundraiser at Enigma. Buy a shirt is $55. That could save you a seat on the bus. But if you don't get on that bus, get to Tally on that Tuesday and march and show that we are here, we are being visible, and we deserve rights just the same as everybody else.
That's right.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.